An unscientific gender ideology has infiltrated our schools, government, and gay community.
I would love to talk to you about what you just had, though. When you said that there's not a spectrum when it comes to gender, that's a common narrative. So what do you mean by that? Like there's not a spectrum?
So there are two genders. And so gender, for 99% of us, our biological sex is our gender. Biological sex is determined by gametes, which are either eggs or sperm. So there are no intermediate gametes. So gender is either male or female. So this I do not think invalidates the existence of intersex people or transgender people.
Trans or non-binary is not something you're born with.
One of the specialists that I interviewed for the book, he said it very frankly. He said, suppose you've been erotically cross-dressing since your teens, and you're now in your 50s, and this woman is more real to you than anything else, and it's time to be her. And you walk into work and you say, I've been masturbating in my wife's knickers since I got married. It's time to wear them all the time. That's not going to go down well. But if you go in and you say, I have always been a woman inside, and now it's time, I can't hide that fact about me anymore, that fits my sort of thing. It feels like part of that, even though it's a very different thing. So then what do you have to say and do to make that plausible, that actually there's a woman inside and that's the real person that you are? Because it's a very bizarre claim. Well, you have to have always been that way. And if you've always been that way, then there are children who are trans.
Right.
So there have got to be people born this way, and that's children. And that contradicts what we already knew about how people develop a transgender identity. It's not something you're born with. Like, people tend to think, oh, there's probably a bit of your brain, you've probably got a lady brain in a man body or something. There's no evidence of that. In fact, there's evidence that it's not true.
This false gender ideology is being taught in New Zealand schools.
It's a global issue. John Money, of course, was a New Zealand academic. He's listed as, regarded as one of the fathers of gender identity theory. He coined the phrase sexual orientation that the world uses now.
Yeah.
And he, of course, was a paedophile who experimented on two twins who eventually killed themselves as a result of his transgender experiments. But and it's interesting too that Ben brought it up on Monday that Inside Out are suggesting that people primary school children should be learning about John Money and taught about how much of a hero he is in terms of the transgender sexual surgery movement.
A devastating social contagion for girls.
Not only have the rates of these girls claiming trans identification risen dramatically in the US and all across the West, over 4,400% rise in teen girls presenting for gender treatment at the UK's National Gender Clinic, for instance. But teenage girls are now the leading demographic of those claiming to have gender dysphoria. What's going on? The answer is social contagion.
Then you have the kids who don't fit in on the gender front. That's a different pathway. But with them, if you leave them alone, so do no harm, leave them alone, 90% of them accept their body, their sex, by age 18 or 19. And 80% of them are gay. So what that also means is, and the gay community is going to wake up to this sooner or later, is that most of the kids being sterilized and mutilated are gay. 80% of them. So I don't see how the LGBT alliance is going to hold up under that sort of reality. So
what can we do? If you have children, go to a school board meeting and find out what is being taught. Before you vote in the next New Zealand election, ask your local politician, what is a woman? Share and like this video and like this channel so we can reach more New Zealanders.